Welcome everybody, this is Alan with Daily Armor of God. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you're all doing well. This is Reading the Bible in 123 days. We're on day 25 and today we'll be reading Deuteronomy 34 and Joshua 1 through 8. But before we get started, I wanted to share something with you guys. I absolutely love Webster's 1828 dictionary. And if you don't have a physical copy of this dictionary, which is an amazing dictionary, then there's this site, Webster's Dictionary 1828.com, and you could type in whatever word and it will give you the Webster's version, the 1828 version, I should say. Now, if you don't know about Noah Webster, it's very interesting, and a lot of the entries, almost all the entries for Webster's 1828 have a reference to the King James Bible. And I wanted to share with you quickly, on this site they have a word of the day, and it was interesting that the word of the day was this word right here, meekness. So meekness we see a lot in the Bible, and a lot of people probably don't know what it means, and right here we'll get the 1828 version, which is, it's a noun, softness of temper, mildness, gentleness, forbearance under injuries and provocations. And it says here, this is where I'm talking about, it gives references to the Bible. In an evangelical sense, humility, resignation, submission to the divine will without murmuring or peevishness, opposed to pride, arrogance, refractoriness. And it gives a reference here of Galatians 5:23. And here's another example, another biblical example. I beseech you by the meekness of Christ, 2 Corinthians 10:1. Now, it's so cool that we have this as a dictionary that we can turn to that not only references the Bible often, like I think pretty much every word you search has reference to the Bible in some way, or I should say most words. But it's just a great resource for understanding the Bible. If there's a word in there you don't know, look it up. I suggest using the 1828 version, this site here. I'll link it in this video, but it's a great site that, and it's a great version of a dictionary that has its roots in the Bible, and that's just amazing. So that was interesting to see the word of the day. I always check the word of the day. It was interesting to see meekness pop up, and just wanted to share that with you guys. If you guys don't know about the 1828, look into it. Like I said, I'll link this website. It's just an amazing resource, especially if you're trying to understand words from the Bible. So, all right, let's get started here in the last chapter, Deuteronomy 34. And unfortunately, it's not a chapter I look forward to reading because, as you can see here, it's time for Moses' journey to end, and it's just so sad. So, but we had to move on to Joshua and move on to the children of Israel coming into the promised land and all their adventures and downfalls. So, Deuteronomy 34, verse 1. And Moses went up from the plains of Moab unto the mountain of Nebo, the top of Pisgah, that is over against Jericho. And Yahweh showed him all the land of Gilead unto Dan, and all Naphtali, and the land of Ephraim, and Manasseh, and all the land of Judah unto the utmost sea, and the south and the plain of the valley of Jericho, the city of palm trees unto Zor. And Yahweh said unto him, This is the land which I swear unto Abraham, unto Isaac, and unto Jacob, saying, I will give it unto thy seed. I have caused thee to see it with thine eyes, but thou shalt not go over thither. And if you guys don't remember why Moses can't go over, just a quick recap is, back when they were wandering the wilderness, Moses was so frustrated and angry with the children of Israel because they kept murmuring against him and against God and didn't trust in him or God, that God would provide water for them. So God told Moses to whisper to a rock, and out would flow waters for them to drink. But instead of whispering or talking to the rock, he hit it with his staff because of, the frustration. And doing that to God was a sin, because it showed that Moses himself didn't trust God in a sense. He just wanted to give the children. Oh, he also did not give when he was talking to them. He made it seem like he was the one who was going to give them the water, not God. So there's many reasons why, but one of the reasons was he hit the rock instead of whispering to the rock in his anger and frustration. So that's why, unfortunately, he couldn't go into the promised land. So, back to Deuteronomy 34:5. So Moses, a servant of Yahweh, died there in the land of Moab, according to the word of Yahweh. And he buried him in a valley in the land of Moab over against Beth Peor, but no man knoweth of his sepulchre unto this day. Moses was 120 years old when he died. His eye was not dim, nor his natural force abated. The children of Israel wept for Moses in the plains of Moab 30 days, so the days of weeping and mourning for Moses were ended. And Joshua, the son of Nun, was full of the spirit of wisdom, for Moses had laid his hands upon him, and the children of Israel hearkened unto him, and did as Yahweh commanded Moses. And there arose not a prophet since in Israel like unto Moses, whom Yahweh knew face to face. And all the signs and wonders which Yahweh sent him to do in the land of Egypt to Pharaoh, and to all his servants, and to all his land, and all that mighty hand, and all that great terror which Moses showed in the sight of all Israel. And moving on to Joshua, chapter 1, verse 1. Now after the death of Moses, the servant of Yahweh, it came to pass that Yahweh spake unto Joshua, the son of Nun, Moses' minister, saying, Moses my servant is dead. Now therefore arise and go over this Jordan, thou and all this people, unto land which I do give to them, even the children of Israel. Every place that the sole of your foot shall tread upon, that have I given unto you, as I said unto Moses, from the wilderness and this Lebanon, even unto the great river, the Euphrates, all the land of the Hittites, and unto the great sea toward the going down of the sun shall be your coast. There shall not any man be able to stand before thee all the days of thy life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with thee. I will not fail thee, nor forsake thee. Be strong and of good courage, for unto this people shalt thou divide for an inheritance the land which I swear unto their fathers to give them. Only be thou strong and very courageous, that thou mayest observe to do according to all the law which Moses my servant commanded thee. Turn not from it to the right hand or to the left, that thou mayest prosper whithersoever thou goest. This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, and that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. Have not I commanded thee? Be strong and of good courage. Be not afraid, neither be thou dismayed. For Yahweh thy God is with thee, whithersoever thou goest. This is another great verse. Great verse. I love Joshua 1:9. And I know in this sense, he's talking to Joshua and the children of Israel. But we can apply this to our lives today. God is with us, here and right now. And he wants us to be strong and of good courage, and be not afraid. Do not be dismayed, because our God Yahweh is with us whithersoever we go. And as he said many times, he'll never leave us nor forsake us. And that's just an amazing verse that should give us lots of confidence in God. It's an amazing verse. Then Joshua commanded the officers of the people, saying, Pass through the host, and command the people, saying, Prepare ye victuals, for within 3 days ye shall pass over this Jordan, to go into possess the land which Yahweh your God giveth you to possess it. And to the Reubenites, and to the Gadites, and the half tribe of Manasseh, spake Joshua, saying, Remember the word which Moses the servant of Yahweh commanded you, saying, Yahweh your God hath given you rest, and hath given you this land. Your wives and your little ones and your cattle shall remain in the land which Moses gave you on this side Jordan. But you shall pass before your brethren armed, all the mighty men of valor, and help them, until Yahweh have given your brethren rest, as he hath given you, and they also have possessed the land which Yahweh your God giveth them. Then ye shall return unto the land of your possession, and enjoy it, which Moses, Yahweh's servant, gave you on this side Jordan toward the sun rising. And they answered Joshua, saying, All that thou commandest us we will do, and whithersoever thou sendest us we will go. According as we hearken unto Moses in all things, so will we hearken unto thee. Only Yahweh thy God be with thee, as he was with Moses. Whosoever he be that doth rebel against thy commandment, and will not hearken unto thy words, and all that thou commandest him, he shall be put to death. Only be strong and of a good courage. You know, this is talked about a lot, to be strong and of a good courage. And it just reminds me how later on in the Bible it says that God has not given us the spirit of fear. So why should we fear? We shouldn't fear anything in this world, nor should we fear demons and devils, because God is greater. And the one we should fear is Yahweh God. Joshua 2. Joshua the son of Nun sent out of Shittim 2 men to spy secretly, saying, Go view the land, even Jericho. And they went and came into a harlot's house named Rahab, and lodged there. And it was told the king of Jericho, saying, Behold, there came men in hither tonight of the children of Israel to search out the country. And the king of Jericho sent unto Rahab, saying, Bring forth the men that are come to thee, which are entered into thine house, for they be come to search out all the country. The woman took the 2 men, and hid them, and said thus, There came men unto me, but I wist not whence they were. It came to pass about the time of shutting of the gate, when it was dark, that the men went out. Whither the men went, I wot not. Pursue after them quickly, for ye shall overtake them. But she had brought them up to the roof of the house, and hid them with the stalks of flax, which she had laid in order upon the roof. And the men pursued after them the way to Jordan unto the fords. And as soon as they which pursued after them were gone out, they shut the gate. And before they were laid down, she came up unto them upon the roof, and she said unto the men, I know that Yahweh hath given you the land, and that your terror is fallen upon us, and that your inhabitants of the land faint because of you. For we have heard how Yahweh dried up the water of the Red Sea for you, when ye came out of Egypt, and what ye did unto the 2 kings of the Amorites, that were on the other side Jordan, Sihon and Og, whom ye utterly destroyed. And as soon as we heard these things, our hearts did melt, neither did there remain any more courage in any man because of you. For Yahweh, your God, he is God in heaven above and in earth beneath. Now therefore I pray you, swear unto me by Yahweh, since I have showed you kindness, that you also show kindness in my father's house, and give me a true token, that ye will save alive my father and my mother and my brethren and my sisters and all that they have, and deliver our lives from death. The men answered her, Our life for yours, if ye utter not this our business. And it shall be, when Yahweh hath given us the land, that we will deal kindly and truly with thee. That she let them down by a cord through the window, for her house was upon the town wall, and she dwelt upon the wall. She said unto them, Get ye to the mountain, lest the pursuers meet you, and hide yourselves there 3 days, until the pursuers be returned, and afterward ye may go your way. And the men said unto her, We will be blameless of this thine oath, which thou hast made us swear. Behold, when we come into the land, thou shalt bind this line of scarlet thread in the window, which thou didst let us down by, and thou shalt bring thy father, and thy mother, and thy brethren, all thy father's household, home unto thee. And it shall be that whosoever shall go out of the doors of thy house into the street, his blood shall be upon his head, and we will be guiltless. And whosoever shall be with thee in the house, his blood shall be on our head, and if any hand be upon him. And if thou utter this our business, then we will be quit of thine oath, which thou hast made us to swear. And she said, According unto your words, so be it. And she sent them away, and they departed, and she bound the scarlet line in the window. And they went and came unto the mountain, and abode there 3 days, until the pursuers were returned. And the pursuers sought them throughout all the way, but found them not. So the two men returned and descended from the mountain and passed over and came to Joshua the son of Nun and told him all things that befell them. And they said unto Joshua, Truly Yahweh hath delivered into our hands all the land, for even all the inhabitants of the country do faint because of us. Joshua 3. And Joshua rose early in the morning, and they removed from Shittim and came to Jordan, he and all the children of Israel, and lodged there before they passed over. And it came to pass after 3 days that the officers went through the host. And they commanded the people, saying, When ye see the ark of the covenant of Yahweh your God, and the priests, the Levites, bearing it, then ye shall remove from your place and go after it. Yet there shall be a space between you and it, about 2,000 cubits by measure. Come not near unto it, that ye may know the way by which ye must go, for ye have not passed this way heretofore. Joshua said unto the people, Sanctify yourselves, for tomorrow Yahweh will do wonders among you. Joshua spake unto the priests, saying, Take up the ark of the covenant, and pass over before the people. And they took up the ark of the covenant, and went before the people. And Yahweh said unto Joshua, This day will I begin to magnify thee in the sight of all Israel, that they may know that, as I was with Moses, so I will be with thee. Thou shalt command the priests that bear the ark of the covenant, saying, When ye are come to the brink of the water of Jordan, ye shall stand still in Jordan. Joshua said unto the children of Israel, Come hither and hear the words of Yahweh your God. Joshua said, Hereby ye shall know that the living God is among you, and that he will without fail drive out from before you the Canaanites, and the Hittites, and the Hivites, and the Perizzites, and the Girgashites, and the Amorites, and the Jebusites. Behold, the ark of the covenant of the Lord of all the earth passeth over before you into Jordan. Now therefore take ye 12 men out of the tribes of Israel, out of every tribe of man, and it shall come to pass, as soon as the soles of the feet of the priests that bear the ark of Yahweh, the Lord of all the earth, shall rest in the waters of Jordan, that the waters of Jordan shall be cut off from the waters that come down from above, and they shall stand upon a heap. And it came to pass, when the people removed from their tents to pass over Jordan, and the priests bearing the ark of the covenant before the people, so that they bear the ark were come unto Jordan, and the feet of the priests that bear the ark were dipped in the brim of the water, for Jordan overfloweth all his banks all the time of harvest, that the waters which came down from above stood and rose up upon a heap very far from the city Adam, that is beside Zaratan. And those that came down to the sea of the plain, even the salt sea, failed and were cut off, and the people passed over right against Jericho. And the priests that bear the ark of the covenant of Yahweh stood firm on dry ground in the midst of Jordan, and all the Israelites passed over on dry ground, until all people were passed clean over Jordan. You'd think that with the waters, going back like that, it would be just a muddy mess. But the amazing thing is, not only did the waters go back and stop, but it was dry ground. So that's just amazing to think about. Joshua 4. And it came to pass, when all the people were clean passed over Jordan, that Yahweh spake unto Joshua, saying, Take ye 12 men out of the people, out of every tribe of man, and command ye them, saying, Take you hence out of the midst of Jordan, out of the place where the priests' feet stood firm, 12 stones, and ye shall carry them over with you, and leave them in the lodging place where ye shall lodge this night. And Joshua called the 12 men whom he had prepared of the children of Israel, out of every tribe of man, and Joshua said unto them, Pass over before the ark of Yahweh your God into the midst of Jordan. Take ye up every man of you a stone upon his shoulder, according unto the number of the tribes of the children of Israel, that this may be a sign among you, that when your children ask their fathers in time to come, saying, What mean ye by these stones? Then ye shall answer them, that the waters of Jordan were cut off from before the ark of the covenant of Yahweh. When it passed over Jordan, the waters of Jordan were cut off. And these stones shall be for a memorial unto the children of Israel forever. The children of Israel did so as Joshua commanded, and took up 12 stones out of the midst of Jordan, as Yahweh spake unto Joshua, according to the number of the tribes of the children of Israel, and carried them over with them unto the place where they lodged, and laid them down there. And Joshua set up 12 stones in the midst of Jordan, in the place where the feet of the priests which bear the ark of the covenant stood, and they are there unto this day. For the priests which bare the ark stood in the midst of Jordan until everything was finished that Yahweh commanded Joshua to speak unto the people, according to all that Moses commanded Joshua, and the people hasted to pass over. And it came to pass when all the people were clean passed over, that the ark of Yahweh passed over, and the priests in the presence of the people, and the children of Reuben, and the children of Gad, and half the tribe of Manasseh passed over, armed before the children of Israel, as Moses spake unto them. About 40,000 prepared for war passed over before Yahweh unto battle to the plains of Jericho. On that day Yahweh magnified Joshua in the sight of all Israel, and they feared him as they feared Moses all the days of his life. Yahweh spake unto Joshua, saying, Command the priests that bear the ark of the testimony, that they come up out of Jordan. Joshua therefore commanded the priests, saying, Come ye up out of Jordan. And it came to pass, when the priests that bare the ark in the covenant of Yahweh were come up out of the midst of Jordan, and the soles of the priests' feet were lifted up unto the dry land, that the waters of Jordan returned unto their place, and flowed over all his banks as they did before. The people came up out of Jordan on the 10th day of the first month, and encamped in Gilgal, in the east border of Jericho. And those 12 stones which they took out of Jordan to Joshua pitch in Gilgal. And he spake unto the children of Israel, saying, When your children shall ask their fathers in time to come, saying, What mean these stones? Then ye shall let your children know, saying, Israel came over this Jordan on dry land. For Yahweh, your God, dried up the waters of Jordan from before you, until ye were passed over, as Yahweh your God did to the Red Sea, which he dried up from before us, until we were gone over. That all the people of the earth might know the hand of Yahweh, that it is mighty, that ye might fear Yahweh your God forever. Man, reading all that just gives me goosebumps about how God kept back the waters. Not only that, but it was dry land that they got to walk on. Same with the Red Sea. It's just amazing. Joshua 5. And it came to pass when all the kings of the Amorites, which were on the side of Jordan westward, and all the kings of the Canaanites, which were by the sea, heard that Yahweh had dried up the waters of Jordan from before the children of Israel, until we were passed over, that their heart melted, neither was their spirit in them any more, because of the children of Israel. At that time Yahweh said unto Joshua, Make thee sharp knives, and circumcise again the children of Israel the second time. Joshua made him sharp knives, and circumcised the children of Israel at the hill of the foreskins. This is the cause why Joshua did circumcise. All the people that came out of Egypt that were males, even all the men of war, died in the wilderness by the way, after they came out of Egypt. Not all the people that came out were circumcised, but all the people that were born in the wilderness by the way they came forth out of Egypt, them they had not circumcised. For the children of Israel walked 40 years in the wilderness, till all the people that were men of war, which came out of Egypt, were consumed, because they obeyed not the voice of Yahweh, unto whom Yahweh sware that he would not show them the land which Yahweh sware unto their fathers that he would give us, a land that floweth with milk and honey. And their children whom he raised up in their stead, them Joshua circumcised, for they were uncircumcised, because they had not circumcised them by the way. And it came to pass, when they had done circumcising all the people, that they abode in their places and the camp till they were whole. Yahweh said unto Joshua, This day have I rolled away the reproach of Egypt from off you, wherefore the name of this place is called Gilgal unto this day. The children of Israel encamped in Gilgal, and kept the Passover on the 14th day of the month at even in the plains of Jericho. They did eat of the old corn of the land on the morrow after the Passover, unleavened cakes and parched corn in the selfsame day. And the manna ceased on the morrow after they had eaten of the old corn of the land, neither had the children of Israel manna any more, but they did eat of the fruit of the land of Canaan that year. And it came to pass, when Joshua was by Jericho, that he lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, there stood a man over against him with his sword drawn in his hand. Joshua went unto him and said unto him, Art thou for us, or for our adversaries? And he said, Nay, but as captain of the host of Yahweh am I now come. And Joshua fell on his face to the earth, and did worship, and said unto him, What saith my Lord unto his servant? The captain of Yahweh's host said unto Joshua, Loose thy shoe from off thy foot. The place whereon thou standest is holy. And Joshua did so. Joshua 6. Now Jericho was straitly shut up because of the children of Israel. None went out, and none came in. And Yahweh said unto Joshua, See, I have given into thine hand Jericho, and the king thereof, and the mighty men of valor. And ye shall compass the city, all ye men of war, and go round about the city once. Thus shalt thou do 6 days. 7 priests shall bear before the ark 7 trumpets of ram's horns. And the 7th day ye shall compass the city 7 times. And the priests shall blow with the trumpets. And it shall come to pass that when they make a long blast with the ram's horns, and when ye hear the sound of the trumpet, all the people shall shout with a great shout, and the wall of the city shall fall down flat, and the people shall ascend up every man straight before him. Joshua the son of Nun called the priests and said unto them, Take up the ark of the covenant, and let 7 priests bear 7 trumpets of ram's horns before the ark of Yahweh. And he said to the people, Pass on and compass the city, and let him that is armed pass on before the ark of Yahweh. It came to pass, Joshua had spoken to the people that the 7 priests bearing the 7 trumpets of ram's horns passed on before Yahweh, and blew with the trumpets. And the ark of the covenant of Yahweh followed them. And the armed men went before the priests that blew with the trumpets, and the reward came after the ark, the priests going on and blowing with trumpets. Joshua had commanded the people, saying, Ye shall not shout nor make any noise with your voice, neither shall any word proceed out of your mouth until the day I bid you shout. Then ye shall shout. The ark of Yahweh compassed the city, going about it once, and they came into the camp and lodged in the camp. Joshua rose early in the morning, and the priests took up the ark of Yahweh. And the 7 priests, bearing the 7 trumpets of ram's horns, before the ark of Yahweh went on continually, and blew with trumpets, and the armed men went before them. But the reward came after the ark of Yahweh, the priests going on and blowing with the trumpets. And the 2nd day they compassed the city once, and returned into the camp. So did they 6 days. And it came to pass on the 7th day, that they rose up early about the dawning of the day, and compassed the city after the same manner 7 times. Only on that day they compassed the city 7 times. And it came to pass at the 7th time, when the priests blew with the trumpets, Joshua said unto the people, Shout, for Yahweh hath given you this city, and the city shall be accursed, even it and all that are therein, to Yahweh. Only Rahab the harlot shall live, she and all that are with her in the house, because she hid the messengers that we sent. And ye in any wise keep yourselves from accursed things, lest ye make yourselves accursed. When ye take of the accursed thing, and make the camp of Israel a curse, and trouble it. But all the silver and gold and vessels of brass and iron are consecrated unto Yahweh. They shall come into the treasury of Yahweh. So the people shouted when the priests blew with the trumpets, and it came to pass when the people heard the sound of the trumpet, the people shouted with a great shout, that the wall fell flat down. So that the people went up into the city, every man straight before him, and they took the city. And they utterly destroyed all that was in the city, both man and woman, young and old, and ox and sheep and ass, with the edge of the sword. But Joshua had said unto the 2 men that spied out the country, Go into the harlot's house, and bring them out thence, the woman and all that she hath, as ye swear unto her. And the young men that were spies went in, and brought out Rahab, and her father, and her mother, and her brethren, and all that she had, and they brought out all her kindred, and left them without the camp of Israel. And they burnt the city with fire, and all that was therein, only the silver and the gold, and the vessels of brass and iron, they put into the treasury of the house of Yahweh. And Joshua saved Rahab the harlot alive, and her father's household, and all that she had. And she dwelleth in Israel even unto this day, because she hid the messengers which Joshua sent to spy out Jericho. And Joshua adjured them at that time, saying, Cursed be the man before Yahweh, that riseth up and buildeth this city Jericho. He shall lay the foundation thereof in his firstborn, and in his youngest son shall he set up the gates of it. So Yahweh was with Joshua, and his fame was noised throughout all the country. You know what's interesting is this part right here. We see Jericho get rebuilt, and the man who rebuilt Jericho later on down the line, his firstborn died, and his secondborn, or his youngest son, died when the gates. So when he first laid the foundation, his first, like exactly what it says here. Here's another instance of prophecy being fulfilled. We will see this later, that Jericho does get rebuilt, and the man who does it lost 2 of his sons because of it. So it's just another instance of prophecy coming true. And just by the way, that this whole chapter, oh man, gives me goosebumps. I love the whole story of Jericho. Just is amazing. Moving on to Joshua 7. The children of Israel committed a trespass in the accursed thing, for Achan, the son of Carmi, the son of Zabdi, the son of Zerah, of the tribe of Judah, took of the accursed thing, and the anger of Yahweh was kindled against the children of Israel. Joshua sent men from Jericho to Ai, which is beside Bethaven, on the east side of Bethel, and spake unto them, saying, Go up and view the country. And the men went up and viewed Ai. And they returned to Joshua and said unto him, Let not all the people go up, but let about 2,000 or 3,000 men go up and smite Ai. And make not all the people to labor thither, for they are but few. So there went up thither of the people about 3,000 men, and they fled before the men of Ai. And the men of Ai smote of them about 36 men, and they chased them from before the gate even to Shebarim, and smote them in the going down. Wherefore the hearts of the people melted, and became as water. Joshua rent his clothes, and fell to the earth upon his face before the ark of Yahweh, until the eventide, he and the elders of Israel, and put dust upon their heads. And Joshua said, Alas, O Lord, Elohim, wherefore hast thou all brought us this people over Jordan to deliver us into the hand of the Amorites, to destroy us? Would to God we had been content and dwelt on the other side Jordan. O Lord, what shall I say when Israel turneth their backs before their enemies? For the Canaanites and all the inhabitants of the land shall hear of it, and shall environ us round, and cut off our name from the earth. And what wilt thou do unto thy great name? And Yahweh said unto Joshua, Get thee up, wherefore liest thou thus upon thy face? Israel hath sinned, and they have also transgressed my covenant which I commanded them. For they have even taken of the accursed thing, and they have also stolen and disassembled also, and they have put it even among their own stuff. Therefore the children of Israel could not stand before their enemies, but turned their backs before their enemies, because they were accursed. Neither will I be with you any more, except ye destroy the accursed from among you. Up, sanctify the people, and say, Sanctify yourselves tomorrow. For thus saith Yahweh, God of Israel, There is an accursed thing in the midst of thee, O Israel. Thou canst not stand before thine enemies until ye take away the accursed thing from among you. In the morning, therefore, you shall be brought according to your tribe, and it shall be that the tribe which Yahweh taketh shall come according to the families thereof, and the family which Yahweh shall take shall come by the households, and the household which Yahweh shall take shall come man by man. And it shall be that he that is taken with the accursed thing shall be burnt with fire, he and all that he hath, because he hath transgressed the covenant of Yahweh, and because he hath wrought folly in Israel. So Joshua rose up early in the morning, and brought Israel by their tribes, and the tribe of Judah was taken. And he brought the family of Judah, and he took the family of the Zaharites, and he brought the family of the Zaharites man by man, and Zabdi was taken. And he brought his household man by man, and Achan the son of Carmi, the son of Zabdi, the son of Zerah of the tribe of Judah was taken. And Joshua said unto Achan, My son, give, I pray thee, glory to Yahweh, God of Israel, and make confession to him, and tell me now what thou hast done. Hide it not from me. And Achan answered Joshua and said, Indeed I have sinned against Yahweh, God of Israel, and thus have I done. When I saw among the spoils a goodly Babylonish garment, and 200 shekels of silver, and a wedge of gold of 50 shekels weight, then I coveted them, and took them, and behold, they are hid in the earth in the midst of my tent, and the silver under it. So Joshua sent messengers, and they ran unto the tent, and behold, it was hid in the tent, and the silver under it. They took them out to the midst of the tent, and brought them unto Joshua and unto all the children of Israel, and laid them out before Yahweh. And Joshua and all the men and all Israel with him took Achan the son of Zerah, and the silver, and the garment, and the wedge of gold, and his sons, and his daughters, and his oxen, and his asses, and his sheep, and his tent, and all that he had, and they brought them unto the valley of Achor. Joshua said, Why hast thou troubled us? Yahweh shall trouble thee this day. And all Israel stoned him with stones, and burned them with fire, after they had stoned them with stones. And they raised over him a great heap of stones unto this day. So Yahweh turned from the fierceness of his anger, wherefore the name of that place was called the valley of Achor unto this day. Man, that one guy sinning and coveting ruins so many people's lives. It's so sad. It's so sad. And this is just the start of it. From here on out, we're going to see, and we have seen, children of Israel fall many, many times and ruin so many people's lives because of their decisions. And you think it's something so small. He just took, some gold and silver and some clothes. It's not small in God's eyes, because God gave a direct commandment to burn everything and keep the gold and silver to go into God's treasury. But yeah, it was a major sin, and it's just a shame that this one guy caused his own family to be put to death, along with all the people who died when they went up to Ai. I mean, so sad. Joshua 8. Yahweh said unto Joshua, Fear not, neither be thou dismayed. Take all the people of war with thee, and arise and go up to Ai. See, I have given into thy hand the king of Ai, and his people, and his city, and his land. And thou shalt do to Ai and her king as thou didst unto Jericho and her king. Only the spoil thereof and the cattle thereof shall ye take for a prey unto yourselves. Lay thee in ambush for the city behind it. I just want to point out this right here, and this is something I didn't catch at first. But what did we just read? He says, the spoil and the cattle ye shall take for a prey unto yourselves. I forgot to mention this, but the reason why Jericho, the first city they took, why God wanted everything to be destroyed except for the gold and silver and have that come into the treasury, was because it was the very first city that they took when they came into the promised land. So it was, that just adds to the weight of the magnitude of what Achan did by stealing. He essentially stole from God, if you think about it. So that is another reason, because it was the first one. And it's not like God wasn't going to give them anything, because we see here, right here, God's going to give them the spoil. But it was that first one. God wanted everything to be destroyed except for the gold and silver to come into the treasury. So, yeah, I mean, he was going to give them stuff. And right here we see it. If that guy, Achan, would have just waited, he would have gotten part of the spoil here at Ai. So, that's, even more sad now, knowing that. So, Joshua arose and all the people of war to go up against Ai. And Joshua chose out 30,000 mighty men of valor and sent them away by night. And he commanded them, saying, Behold, ye shall lie in wait against the city, even behind the city. Go not very far from the city, but be ye all ready. And I and all the people that are with me will approach unto the city, and it shall come to pass when they come out against us, as at the first, that we will flee from before them. For they will come out after us, till we have drawn them from the city. For they will say, They flee before us, as at the first, therefore we will flee before them. Then ye shall rise up from the ambush, and seize upon the city, for Yahweh your God will deliver it into your hand. And it shall be that when ye have taken the city, that ye shall set the city on fire, according to the commandment of Yahweh, shall ye do. See, I have commanded you. Joshua therefore sent them forth, and they went to lie in ambush, and abode between Bethel and Ai, on the west side of Ai, but Joshua lodged that night among the people. And Joshua rose up early in the morning and numbered the people, and went up, he and the elders of Israel, before the people to Ai. And all the people, even the people of war that were with him, went up, drew nigh, and came before the city, and pitched on the north side of Ai. Now there was a valley between them and Ai. And he took about 5,000 men, and set them to lie in ambush between Bethel and Ai, on the west side of the city. And when they had set the people, even all the host that was on the north of the city, and went and their liers in wait on the west side of the city, Joshua went that night into the midst of the valley. And it came to pass, when the king of Ai saw it, that they hasted and rose up early, and the men of the city went out against Israel to battle, he and all his people, at the time appointed, before the plain. But he wist not that there were liers in ambush against him behind the city. Joshua and all Israel made as if they were beaten before them, and fled by the way of the wilderness. And all the people that were in Ai were called together to pursue after them, and they pursued after Joshua, and were drawn away from the city. And there was not a man left in Ai or Bethel that went not out after Israel, and they left the city open, and pursued after Israel. And Yahweh said to Joshua, Stretch out the spear that is in thine hand toward Ai, for I will give it into thine hand. And Joshua stretched out the spear that he had in his hand toward the city. And the ambush arose quickly out of their place, and they ran as soon as he had stretched out his hand, and they entered into the city, and took it, and hasted, and set the city on fire. When the men of Ai looked behind them, they saw, and behold, the smoke of the city ascended up to heaven, and they had no power to flee this way or that way. And the people that fled to the wilderness turned back upon the pursuers. And when Joshua and all Israel saw that the ambush had taken the city, and that the smoke of the city ascended, then they turned again and slew the men of Ai. Man, this is just so brilliant, this plan. And you can clearly see God's hand at work here. I mean, this is just too brilliant of a strategy. It's just amazing. Because if you think about it, the children of Israel, they weren't men of war. They were desert dwellers for 40 years. You know, the people who were born in the wilderness, they had no experience in combat and tactics. So when you see stuff like this, you can't give credit to the children of Israel. I mean, you can give credit to their courage, but this is God. This is God's plan. This is God's work, because they were not men of war at this time. They were not. Maybe, you know, during the reign of all the judges they were, or in the reign of the kings, but right now they were not men of war. They had no experience in battle and tactics and strategies like this. So you can clearly see God's hand at work here, and it's just amazing to see it because it's so brilliant. So they saw the smoke, and they turned, and they slew the men of Ai. And the other issued out of the city against them, so they were in the midst of Israel, some on this side and some on that side, and they smote them, so that they let none of them remain or escape. And the king of Ai they took alive, and brought him to Joshua. And it came to pass, when Israel had made an end of slaying all the inhabitants of Ai in the field and in the wilderness wherein they chased them, and when they were all fallen on the edge of the sword, until they were consumed, that all the Israelites returned unto Ai, and smote it with the edge of the sword. So it was that all that fell at day, both of men and women, were 12,000, even all the men of Ai. For Joshua drew not his hand back, wherewith he stretched out the spear, until he had utterly destroyed all the inhabitants of Ai. Only the cattle and the spoil of that city Israel took for a prey unto themselves, according unto the word of Yahweh which he commanded Joshua. And Joshua burnt Ai, and made it a heap forever, even a desolation unto this day. And the king of Ai he hanged on the tree until eventide, and as soon as the sun was down, Joshua commanded that they should take his carcass down from the tree, and cast it at the entering of the gate of the city, and raise therein a great heap of stones, that remaineth unto this day. Then Joshua built an altar unto Yahweh, God of Israel, in Mount Ebal, as Moses the servant of Yahweh commanded the children of Israel, as it is written in the book of the law of Moses, an altar of whole stones, over which no man hath lifted up any iron. And they offered thereon burnt offerings unto Yahweh, and sacrificed peace offerings. And he wrote there upon the stones a copy of the law of Moses, which he wrote in the presence of the children of Israel. And all Israel And their elders and officers and their judges stood on this side of the ark and on that side before the priests, the Levites, which bear the ark of the covenant of Yahweh, as well the stranger, and as he was born among them, half of them over against Mount Gerizim, and half of them over against Mount Ebal, as Moses the servant of Yahweh had commanded before, that they should bless the people of Israel. And afterward he read all the words of the law, the blessings and cursings, according to all that is written in the book of the law. There was not a word of all that Moses commanded which Joshua read not before all the congregation of Israel, with the women and the little ones and the strangers that were conversant among them. Oh. We're done. I was looking forward to reading more. Man, you get caught up in all this and time flies, makes you want to read more and more. Like, every day I read the Bible, I'm just like, oh, I wish I could just read more. Oh man, so lots of interesting things coming up ahead to read, and I can't wait for that. So, God willingly, we'll be able to read them. So that's going to be it for today, guys. Thanks for joining me. Hope you all have a great evening, morning, noon, wherever you're at. And remember to put God first in everything you do. Have faith in Him, trust in Him, wait upon Him, and you'll never be sorry. And remember what Moses and Joshua said, or what God told Moses and Joshua, that to be strong and of a good courage, and to not have that spirit of fear, and that God will never leave us nor forsake us. So that is something that we can glean and take from reading in today's passages, and that's a very important thing that we can take, is that we know that our God will never leave us nor forsake us. So we'll see you tomorrow, God willingly, with more Bible reading. Thanks again, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.